Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we are checking out the Foo Fighters classic that is Everlong. Fantastic fun to play this one. Really cool riff. Sounds great. It's in drop D tuning, so the first thing you want to do is tune your thickest E string down a tone to the note D. You can use your open fourth string to do that. So the guitar would normally be like this. You want to play your fourth string and lower the thicker string down so it's a low D. First thing to do. Second thing, let's talk about the chords and what's going on here. There's three parts. So there's Dave's part, there's Chris's part, and Pat's part, although I'm not sure Pat's is on the original recording, definitely live. To get all three of those parts together is kind of a bit sticky. I'm going to show you a kind of an approximation of a way of playing like Chris's riff and Dave's part at the same time. As regards to the strumming patterns, there's a few different ways of approaching it. Again, you can see Pat and Dave and Chris all kind of taken it at it a different way of using down and up strokes. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. You should try it and see what kind of works best for you. The guitar parts are really clever. Mr. Grohl is definitely a fine guitar player. You know, he tends to do things fairly simple. They're not complicated to play, but they sound really, really good. And they're not the kind of usual things that one might come up with, which is one of the things I think makes Foo Fighters such a great band. So the very first riff. Really all about the rhythm, the picking pattern, much more than the chords really. But first chord is open thicker string, then first finger in the 9th fret of the 5th string, third finger down in the 11th fret of the 4th string. It does appear that Dave's kind of stabbing the finger on when he's playing it to get that riff, but I find it easier just to push through a little harder with the pick to get the accents, which we'll talk about in a second. So I'd recommend that you start like that. The second chord, you just move your first finger over to cover the thicker string as well. Okay, so the first chord with the open, 9, 11. Second chord, 9, 9, 11. Third chord, all of that shape moved down to the 5th fret. So 5th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret. And then back to that thing on the 9th fret. So So hopefully most of you can hear that accent passage already. It's a fairly obvious one. The accent's coming on beat 2, 3 and the and after 4. Okay, so just on that first chord, nice heavy palm mute, and you want to play real super quiet. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. What I'm doing is really on every eighth note I'm playing just the thicker string, and then on the accents I'm pushing right through, trying to target the fourth string to really get that, like, I want to hear. It's kind of what I'm aiming for, obviously not that obviously, but okay, and it's exactly the same pattern all the way through. And there's a few times around that at the very beginning. When Chris comes in with his other part, it's difficult to hear exactly what he's doing, but you can do a nice kind of approximation, kind of combining it with that, which is this. So I'm really doing this, the first chord, and then kind of barring with my first finger down onto the third string, and then adding my little finger on the 11th fret of the third string, and using an upstroke there. So down, 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 up. On the upstroke, I'm adding my little finger, 11th fret, third string, and then lifting it off again. Exactly the same pattern for the second chord, but first finger's moving over to play the thickest two strings. It doesn't really work for the next chord, the third chord, but if you're going to go on to playing the third string, you want to add your second finger down on the 6th fret of the third string to get that note, that C sharp. Okay. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is, particularly if you watch some live versions of Dave playing it, the very intro he's playing all downstrokes. So all of this is all downstrokes. If you're going to get into this, you notice I'm using a lot of palm mute. So I'm using the outside of palm of my hand, hitting the strings. Okay, so I'm using downs and ups. So down, 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 up, down, down, down. Now, what you'll see with Dave Grohl is he's going into the rhythm part when he's going to sing. He moves from doing all of those down strums, which are quite fast and quite frantic and hard work to maintain for a long time, and he's moving to down and up strumming. So from here to this. But again, because you're hearing those different parts, the different guitar parts, it doesn't quite sound right to me if I'm doing it that way, if I'm playing it on my own. So I'm tending to use like more. So down, 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 up, up, down, down, up, up. So that's kind of mixing those two parts. It's not strictly the Dave Grohl one, which is a little bit more strummy, and it's not really the Chris part, which is a lot smaller kind of chipped chord, but it's a way of kind of mixing them together in a way. I think it sounds pretty effective as a part, but again, it's up to you. It depends on the situation you're learning the song in. If you're in a band, you might want to be thinking more about the individual parts than making up your approximation. If you're playing on acoustic or by yourself, then this kind of thing could be pretty effective. So into the pre-chorus. Pre-chorus is really interesting. We're using an octave shape. So first finger's playing on the 4th fret of the 5th string. We're playing an open D string. It sounds pretty out of tune on the very first note, but it doesn't later. And then little finger on the 6th fret of the 3rd string. Okay, just those 3 notes. I know that sounds really awful, that first one. The very second chord, we move it up 1 fret, which sounds a bit more consonant. Okay, so we're just playing that 3 times at the 4th fret, move it up to the 5th fret, 3 times on the 7th fret. I'm talking about first finger in the 7th fret. Little finger's just staying 2 frets higher and 2 strings down. Then it's 3 on the 9th. Then 9, 10, 9. And then we're going to an A power chord, which is going to be first finger covering thickest 3 strings at the 7th fret, little finger down on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. Okay, and there's that little push. Again, the rhythms are changing depending on the guitar player, so you know it's the mixture of all of them that kind of works. You definitely want to pick up on the accent though. I'm kind of going down, up, down. Okay, and the 3rd time, so it goes back to the A a couple of times, then the 3rd time it's going to a B, down to a G, which is barring the 5th fret, to a D. Pretty sure this is what Dave's playing from both listening and watching. Open thicker string, 2nd finger 5th fret on the 5th string, 1st finger 4th fret on the 3rd string, little finger stays where it was from the G chord, which is the 7th fret of the 3rd string. So so there's just that bit where after the D chord it goes to an A chord, to 7, 7, 7, 9, and then back down to the G before going back to. Okay, so from the bridge. Rhythm for that 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. So all I'm doing, it's just obviously a little faster. So okay, but you could definitely be going using all downstrokes, which gives it a little bit more kind of push along. And again, it's that part of that Foo Fighters thing is the different approaches to playing the rhythm parts that all together combine to make this really big, you know, it's like a tour de force when those guys are playing together. It really moves a lot of air, you know, it makes a big difference having the different, playing the same rhythmic part but a slightly different way seems to add to the color and the shape of it. Excuse the pun. And that's pretty much that tune, you know, that's the puzzle pieces. You're going to have to put them together listening to the original recording again. Do pay attention to the dynamics as well, where it's getting loud, where it's getting soft. There's some variations at the end where he's doing that little octave movement slightly differently. It repeats around a few times, but you're best learning that stuff by listening to the original recording. And don't forget to do that, you know, that's really important. Learn the parts now from me, and then sit down, listen to the original recording, see what parts you kind of pick up to you, because you might find that, you know, I really like the way this rhythm is happening here, and you should do it that way. You don't have to always try and do it the way I've chosen to arrange it, or even the way the Foo Fighters play it. So, you know, you can be your own player as well. So look, I really hope you enjoy playing this most amazing tune. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel if you dig what I do, and remember there's thousands of lessons over on JustinGuitar.com. It's all free, nicely organized customized just for you. I'm sure you'll find something that you'll dig. Have yourselves a lovely weekend or whatever, and I'll see you for more very soon. You take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.